Session English, communication in English.
Hi everyone, my name is Chris. Today we're giving a presentation about Emily Dickinson, a prominent American female poet in the 19th century. Hope you enjoy the following journey to Emily Dickinson. Now, let's begin with the author's profile. Emily Elizabeth Dickinson, one of the most influential American poets. She stretched the limits of an unmarried woman's role long before the modernist and feminist movements of the 20th century. You must know that the 19th century wasn't very nice to women. Men were mostly privileged, while women at that time didn't share a fair community as men. Legal rights, education, and societal expectations, these are the common unappreciated facts happening at that time. Therefore, you can see how advanced and crucial Emily Dickinson could be. Now, let's take a look at the hometown of Emily Dickinson. She was born and raised in Amherst, Massachusetts in 1830. It was a time of Victorian era. Emily had spent nearly all of her life in that place. When she was old enough to attend schools, luckily, Amherst Academy had just begun to accept girls. A reasonable interpretation is that in her times, like I just mentioned earlier, was in Victoria's era, a period which leading to shifts in culture, politics, and personal identity. I'm thinking that might be one of the main reasons that led to her beginning in writing. She entered Amherst Academy when she was 9. The institute was founded to provide religious instruction, also a place where she claimed to have met the most charming young women, and their intense friendship maintained until their adulthood. According to line 14, number 6, I shan't call them anything but women, for women they are in every sense of the word. These statements not only reveal her pride in her peers, but also the proto-feminist insistence on calling them women. Abia Root, one of Emily's favorite young women, who was also her instructor. When Abia got married and left teaching, Emily felt abandoned and lonely even though she tried to sound happy for her in the letters to Abia. However, her depressed emotion is evident from the letters to Abia based on line 45 to 46, numbers 15. I cannot bear to think that she would never more wield the scepter and seat upon the throne in our venerable schoolhouse. Her friendship with Abia Roots spanned a decade of long, ended in 1854 after Abia's marriage. At the age of 17, Emily entered her second school, Mount Holyoke. It was located in South Hadley. Due to the strictly controlled environment, she didn't enjoy those days and felt homesick. Now, let's move on to Dickinson's children. Austin, Emily's older brother. He was a lawyer who got well educated and valued literature. His position ensured that intellectual atmosphere part of Dickinson's household, and these allowed Emily's rich ideas in living and writing. Lavinia, younger sister of Emily Dickinson, she was also unmarried, and provided Emily with emotional support and companionship. She was a key figure who discovered and published Emily's 1800 masterpieces. Susan Gilbert, she met Emily in their young ages and maintained their friendship till their adulthood. Susan married to Emily's brother Austin in 1856. The couple moved into Evergreen, Amherst, were just a hedge away from Emily's house. Fun fact, despite of the short distance, Emily still kept in touch with Susan through the correspondence. She had been Emily's close friends since little. Hence, they had a really close connection. According to the poem Sister Sue, Susan was her second sister who transcended merely biology. In sum, you can see Austin, Lavinia, and Susan all play significant role in Emily's life. It was Austin that made Emily to start the field of literature. On the other hand, Lavinia and Susan showed a good companion in her life and kept her continuous writing. Last but not least, Emily was a literal reclusive writer who only published a dozen of her 1800 poems in her times. despite her reluctance to publish her poems when she was alive. Her sister, Lavinia, who discovered the rest of these masterpieces and recognized Emily's achievements, then insisted on publishing them after Emily's death, so that the next generation got a chance to know this distinguished female writer. With the help of Mabel Loomis Todd, the following hundreds of Emily's poems went formally published. If it were not them, we might have no chance to get to know this amazing poem. And that's it for an author's profile.
It is time to do the summary, and we choose 2 poems from Emily Dickinson's, and the first one is poem 14, One Sister Have I in Our House. One sister have I in our house, and one a hedge away. There is only one recorded, but both belong to me. In the first stanza of the poem, the speaker talks about having 2 sisters, one who lives in their house and another who lives nearby, separated by a hedge. Even though only one sister is officially recognized or mentioned, both are important to the speaker. And the second stanza, one came the way that I came, and more my past years gone, and other as a bird her nest, builded our hearts among. The speaker is comparing her relationship with her sisters. One sister followed a similar path in life as the speaker and wore clothes the speaker wore the previous years. The other sister is compared to a bird that built the nest in their hearts, suggesting she has a special place in their lives. And the third stanza, she did not sing as we did. It was a different tune, herself to her a music, as bumblebee of June. The speaker describes how one sister is different from the others. Unlike the speaker and her other sister, this sister didn't sing or act in the same way. Instead, she had her own unique way of being, like the music of a bumblebee in June. And the fourth stanza, today is far from childhood, but up and down the hills I held her hand the tighter, which shortened all the miles. In this stanza, the speaker reflects on how time has passed since childhood, but she still feels close to her sister. As they walk together up and down hills, the speaker holds her sister's hands tightly, and this makes the distance they travel feel shorter and showing the strength of their bond. And the fifth stanza, and still her hum, the years among, deceives the butterfly still in her eye. The violets lie, moldered this many May. The speaker talks about how her sister's presence continues to comfort her over the years. The hum or sound of her sister's voice helps the speaker forget about the passing time. Just like how a butterfly might be fooled by the sound. The image of violets in her sister's eyes, though faded, reminds the speaker of past sprees, showing the enduring connection between them. And for the final stanza, I spilled the dew, but took the morn. I choose this single star from out the wide night's numbers, Sue forevermore. The speaker talks about making choices. She mentions spilling the dew and taking the morn, which could symbolize experiencing life's ups and downs. Then she says she chooses a single star from the sky, which might represent choosing something special or meaningful. And finally, she mentioned Sue forevermore, possibly referring to making a commitment or decision that will last forever. And that's the first poem. And for the second poem, the poem number 254, hope is the things with feathers. Hopes is the things with feather that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. In this sense, thing with feathers perches in the soul. The speaker describes hope as a bird that lives inside us. This hope sings a tune that doesn't need words, and it never stops singing, giving us comfort and inspiration. And the second stanza, and the sweetest in the gale is hurt, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. In this stanza, sweetest in the gale, the speaker says that hope is even more comforting during difficult times. Sore must be the storm. When there's a storm, a strong storm, it would have to be very powerful to silence the little bird of hope that has kept many people warm and hopeful. And the third stanza, I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. In this stanza, chillest land and strangest sea, the speaker talks about encountering hope in the coldest and the most unfamiliar places, and never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Despite facing extreme situations, hope never demands anything from the speaker. This emphasizes the selfless and enduring nature of hope. And that's the summaries of these two poems from Emily Dickinson.
My name is Luke, and for my part, I'm going to talk about the analysis of these two poems just introduced by Vincent. So moving on to the poem, so I have chosen 3 parts from the first poem just introduced by Vincent, and out of these 3 parts I have marked the biological sisters, Lavina, in brown, while I have marked Sue, the non-biological sister, the special one, in yellow. So in these parts, the poem focuses on the differences between Lavina and Sue, and how one have stayed longer with Emily Dickinson since she's a biological sister, and the other focus on how Sue is different, is special, a different tune. However, the most interesting parts about these 3 parts is the final one. I chose this single star, Sue, forevermore. So now, this imagery of choosing a single star actually have a lot to do with romantic themes throughout the history of literature. So moving on to the next part, we have Sir Philip Sidney right here. He is the author of Astrophil and Stella, a sequence of sonnets about love between Astrophil and Stella. Stella means star, while Astrophil means star lover, right? So this sequence of sonnets composed in the 16th century have many symbolism about stars, and this sonnet is so popular that it actually make this connection between stars and romance very mainstream. Another popular work that also influenced the whole star and romance connection is Romeo and Juliet, written by William Shakespeare. The prologue of the story is the origin of the very popular phrase star-crossed lovers, meaning that this pair of lovers are doomed to a tragic end. So moving on to the next poem is Hope, the thing with feathers, also introduced by Vincent. I have marked all the imagery that has to do with bird or feather, and the most important part, in that it asks a crumb of me. So the poem, just like Vincent talked about, going to how hope is very powerful, it's very strong. However, I think that hope, although powerful and strong, for me personally, it cannot exist alone. You always need to exist for something else. You always need to hope for something else, always need to wish for something else. And I believe as a proto-feminist, just like how Chris talked about, Emily Dickinson hoped for freedom, because bird also represent freedom, because bird can go everywhere, can fly everywhere, it can land everywhere, from sea to forest to trees. And moving on to the next part, I want to talk about how Emily Dickinson and how her reclusive nature and how she deal with all the imageries that she have ever experienced where she lived. So just like Chris talked about, Emily Dickinson is very reclusive, and most of the time she stay in her own room, and then maybe I picture that she look out of her windows to so she can see bees, bumblebees of June, to see many different birds, to see feathers falling from the sky, and to see butterflies, to see flowers, just like all in her previous poem, the first one and the second one. This everything all appeared as if Emily Dickinson is looking out of her window, and through her words, through her writings, we, the readers, can also look out of the very same windows Emily Dickinson, in hundreds of years ago, once looked out of. Thank you. That is the it of the video and the presentation, and hope you enjoyed it.
So now is Kahoot time. And we have Vincent and Luke. Okay, now we have JDB.
People, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I think so too.
In the second poem, Emily Dickinson describes hope as yes, the bird. What is this single star in the first poem? Yes, it's Susan Gilbert. She's the single star in the second poem, in the first poem. Which school did Emily Dickinson go to? This one is simple. Yes, of course, she went to Amherst Academy. It was a different tune, as a bird her nest refers to yes, of course, Susan. Who was the instructor and left Amherst Academy for marriage? That makes him sad. Yes, it was Abia Roots, her teacher. Okay, JDBH is on fire. The woman who lived a hedge away was yes, it was Emily's friend and her brother. The last one. What do spill the dew and took the morn symbolize in the poem? Yes, like Vincent said, experience life's ups and downs. Who was the precursor of feminism in the 19th century? Yes, it was Emily Dickinson. Today's characteristic. Okay. Third one is slew. Second one is JDBD. And the first one goes to beans. Yeah.
And that's all of our Kahoot questions. Hope you guys learned something from Emily Dickinson today.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Language is power when you use it. English and Applied Communication,世新University.